Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you the best Deviljho weapons tier list. So the Deviljho weapons are the most unique monster type in the game right now. This is because each weapon type has a different equipment skill, which makes it super exciting and super customizable, if that's even a word. But you can do a lot of things with your different weapons basically. But some are better than others, so I decided to make a tier list to see which ones are the best. Which one should you build? Was your favorite weapon type actually tossed aside? Or was it giving some super OP super skill? Well, let's find out. Alright, first we're starting off with the worst tier, which is the D tier. This is the Deviljho, which is the Sword and Shield. So the Sword and Shield gives Skyward Striker level 2, which increases aerial attacks by 15%. Sadly, Deviljho's Sword and Shield is the worst out of all of them. Out of all these weapons, the Sword and Shield, the most basic one, is given the worst equipment skill. The thing about it is, Skyward Striker only applies to a few Sword and Shield attacks. This is your Leaping Shield Bash, which are not even invincible while you're performing it. You can get hit in midair, and part of Perfect Rush combo. So two very limited attacks, and the thing about Perfect Rush combo, you can't control whether or not you're going to do the flying slash at the end. So, this is incredibly mediocre, and it's an okay bonus to other offensive equipment skills, but it's really bad. Your first thing when you create a melee build or a Dragon Attack 5 build for this, you're not going to think of putting Skyward Striker in it. Again, it's a nice bonus, but because of its limitations, it's really belongs an F, but you know, all we got is D, so here you go, we're gonna put in D. Moving forward, we have the C tier. For Deviljho's bow, we have the Insurgent's bow. This bow gives peak performance level 2, which increases attack power by 60 when your HP is full. As a bow main, this is super situational. Your HP is not going to be full all the time. You step on a poison puddle, the floor is lava. From Puke, guess what? It's not going to work. From floor is lava, as in if Rathalos or Azarathalos burns the ground and you step on that fire, guess what? It's not going to work. Otogaron scratches and claws your eyes out and you start to bleed, but you can't take it out in time. And bleed does damage, guess what? This isn't gonna work. The only thing keeping this above the D tier as far as Sword and Shield is that if you can keep the boost active, it's nice. But being a solid attack power boost versus a percentage makes this skill barely skip D tier status. No, seriously, just it's a lot better than Skyward Striker level 2, especially when you can keep your HP full. It's gonna last the entire battle or most of the battle until you take damage. So bow definitely belongs on the tier, just right above D. Next up in the C tier, we have Deviljho's Charge Blade. It is called the Oppressor's Charge Blade. Cool name, by the way. And this Charge Blade gives Latent Power level 1. Now, Latent Power level 1 raises affinity by 20%, and Special Skill Gauge fill rate is increased by 10% after 48 seconds into the battle, and this quickens by 1 second every 100 motion value hits, which, if you keep attacking the monster, is basically 36 to 38 seconds. Now here's the thing, 36 to 48 seconds is a lot of time. This definitely helps crit builds, but the only thing keeping this from being D is that it can be a big damage booster in end fights. If you save your super amped elemental discharge for when the end of this thing procs, you can possibly do some big damage, especially with the ability with Dragon Attack 5 and like a crit build, especially if you're able to hit the crit of affinity. So the only reason, even though it takes so long for it to proc and there's a lot better things out here, Latent Power level 1 at level 1 gives you a 20% affinity boost and 10% for the special skill gauge rate, which is actually pretty nuts. But again, it's just limited by the fact that it takes so long to activate. And now we rise into the B tier, and there's only one weapon that's actually in the B tier. This is the Deviljho Greatsword, which is called Anguish. Seriously, these names are really cool. And for the Anguish, we have the Greatsword, which gives level 1 focus. And this shortens charging time for weapons with charge attacks by 5%. Now here's the thing, this puts the Greatsword a little bit above. Actually, this is the middle, B tier, and this tier is the middle, so it puts it right in the middle. This skill puts Greatsword right in the middle, as its charge attacks are a big part of its damage. Your charge slashes with the Greatsword are a big reason why your damage is great. So one level of focus can make a lot of a difference. And depending on builds you use, multiple levels of focus can stack well. So if you plan on doing an attack heavy / focus heavy build, you can probably, I think if you use the Pink Rothian Pink Rothian body, you can actually get like a dragon attack and another level of focus. So because it's such a big part of your damage when it comes to the greatsword, this is why it takes the cake at B. Focus is really good for the greatsword, and you're going to be able to do a lot of damage the more focus you have. And now we surpass the middle, going to the second best, the near cream of the crop, the almost greatest of all time. We have the A tier. Starting off with Deviljho's light bowgun, which is called Devil's Madness. Really cool name, by the way. Light bowgun gives level 2 Rising Tide, and this slightly increases attack power and defense as the hunt timer runs out. Rising Tide doesn't increase every 25 seconds, so for level 2 it would give this 0 and then 50 attack defense, and then 25 more seconds, which would be 50 seconds into the timer, you get 100 attack and defense. At level 2, this is a good boost for light bowgun, considering all the other combinations you can have with it. So that's pretty solid. Rising Tide does take a little bit longer, but the thing about it is that you get 2 types of damage boosts from the beginning, in the middle, and then near the end. So 2 levels is nuts, and that's why it puts the light bowgun into the A tier. For the second weapon we have in the A tier, we have the Deviljho's longsword, and it is called the Reaver Calamity. No, seriously, these names just get even better and better, and that is a really awesome name for a weapon. The longsword gives level 1 quick work, and this becomes ever so slightly faster at sheathing or transforming your weapon. Now here's the thing, and the reason why this is A tier is because quick work maxes at level 3, so giving 1 level is huge for parry. You can literally have quick work level 3 and dragon attack level 5, which is absolutely nuts. Longsword users will rejoice if you love using the longsword, and as of right now this is the only dragon longsword in the game, but giving quick work makes this definitely worthy of being in the A tier. And last but not least on the A tier, we have the Deviljho's hammer, and this is called the Devil's Crush. You mean the crush as in I have a crush on this weapon? Because dang, that looks really freaking cool. Or it's going to crush you. Probably the latter. So the hammer gives level 1 slugger, and this increases stun power by 10%. Now here's the thing, slugger level 2 is optimal for hammer builds. The crazy thing is, you can pair this with the Deviljho helm and get slugger level 3 along with level 1 dragon attack. So this already takes out half the requirement, all you need is 1 more level, but again, paired with the Deviljho helm, you get 3 levels of slugger and level 1 dragon attack. This makes the Devil's Crush definitely A tier material. And to close off this tier list, we have the S tier, the greatest of all time, the goat of all goats, what you would wish for if you had the 7 Dragon Balls. And we're going to start off with the dual blades for the Deviljho, which is called Wrathful Predation. Super cool name. Really hard to pronounce, at least for me. I apologize. Now these dual blades give you level 2 burst. Landing consecutive hits in a short span of time increases attack power by 10% for 4 seconds. And as long as you keep hitting the monster, this will continue to proc. Burst level 2, in a nutshell, is insane for any weapon skill. Level 1's crazy. Level 2? You have an insane amount of options even if you don't decide to invest into dragon attack. Here's an example. If you pop this onto MHN.quest and try to optimize your build, literally the top 5 builds are within like 10 to 20 points of average damage from each other. Just 10 to 20 points. In fact, the second best build is a Burst 4, Crit I 4, Weakness Exploit 2, Latent Power 2, and a Lock-On build, which is absolutely nuts. So you don't even have to invest in a dragon attack like I mentioned to create a crazy powered build with this weapon. It is definitely belonging of God tier, S tier status. And the final weapon we have on this tier list does belong to the S tier. It is the Deviljho Lance, which is known as the Fiendish Tower. That is a mighty fine stick we have right here. It has a mighty fine shield as well, as this lance gives level 2 offensive guard. Offensive guard increases attack power by 15% for 10 seconds after executing a well-timed guard. And having level 2 is absolutely insane. Offensive guard level 2 is great for its ability to stack damage and be easily activated with the lance. In fact, it's literally built for it's tailor-made and built for the lance. And with offensive guard level 5, you can actually do some crazy things. With the optimizer in MHN.Quest, you can actually get to like 4,000 damage, which is actually pretty nuts considering the lance is a very defensive weapon and you could just poke things to death. This just shows the capabilities of when you give a weapon a really great equipment skill, like for the lance, the offensive guard level 2. Hopefully this tier list gives you an idea of what Deviljho weapon you want to build. Deviljho weapons are incredibly hard to come by, and with that being said, go hard during Deviljho events so that you can get enough materials to build what you want. It's going to be really exciting that Deviljho is going to have a future event where it's going to be boosted, and hopefully there's more events in the future because Deviljho is hard to come by. So let's hope some of these Deviljho events put him out in the wild so that you don't have to go look for volatile territories and madly just tap on monsters hoping that you encounter a Deviljho. Please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Hopefully your Deviljhos, if you are 8-star Deviljho, it is dropping plenty of saliva for you. Good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.